What's going on, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of JB's Toys and Hobbies. This is episode 2 of a 5-episode, maybe even a 6-episode series where we're dealing with the restoration of the 1993 Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Megazord. This particular episode is going to be featuring the Pink Ranger's Pterodactyl Zord, which also turns into the Megazord's chess piece. But a lot like the T-Rex version that we did in episode 1 of this series, it's missing one of its components. In this particular case, it's missing the other wing. So much like the other episode, I'm going to take you through a little bit of the 3D modeling process that I did, then the 3D print that we had to do, paint it to match, get it as close as we can, and we're going to get this one built up and restored and ready for the future Megazord build as well. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And with all that said, let's jump right into it. Jumping right into it. Thank you for joining again. As most of you know, or to give you a quick rundown, we are doing a budget build of the 1993 Bandai Megazords. This is the Pink Ranger's Pterodactyl. And much like on the last episode, I'm going to share with you the deal that I got searching on eBay. This particular Pterodactyl is kind of pricey, but I was able to find one in a kind of a group deal there. As you can see, I paid $15.50, and I got it grouped with like one of the bows from the blaster builds. But I'm going to be able to recoup some of my money because I'm probably just going to sell the bow off and just keep the Zord. But the cheapest I was able to find it before then was like around $30, so I think that we did pretty good. But of course, we're replacing the missing wing in this episode, and what you are seeing here is my 3D modeling process, as well as a quick shot of the 3D printer going to town to create this wing that you see here. Turned out pretty good. I pretty much just took a set of calipers and measured the existing wing that I already had, and I got the measurements as close as I could. 3D printed a couple of them, hoping that they come in, properly. And I have to say I was very pleased with how that did turn out. So the only other thing on this part that I did notice, and I think it's the way we had to lift it off of the print sheet or the printing platform, there was some burrs in a couple areas that we're going to clean up. So all I did was took some like 600 grit sandpaper and just gonna, smooth it out a little bit, take care of some of those burrs. I want the paint to lay kind of as nice as I can on a 3D printed part, because I'm not going in and using filler on these or anything. We're just getting them cleaned up the best we can, and then primed and painted, which you're gonna see more about that here shortly. All right, we're going to go ahead and throw some white primer on there with my favorite cheap acrylic paint, Rose Art. The price on this stuff I have seen anywhere between 50 cents to like $2 a bottle, depending on where you get it and what kind of sales that you are able to find. But we're going to get that white primer on there. I wanted to lighten it up since the plastic material was in black. Getting it lightened up with a lighter color primer is going to help us accomplish that lighter gray color that I'm going to try to match, which you're actually going to get to see in this episode, where I actually kind of struggle trying to get a little bit of color match. But in the end, I'm overall happy with it, but we will get there and to that point here shortly. Now that we got the primer down, it's time to start prepping our gray paint that we're going to try to color match. We're going to be mixing that Rose Art black and white to get the gray. As you can see, the wing is a slight different shade of gray as the plastic framing that's already in there. So we're going to be trying to match that wing, just trying to keep it, symmetrical and as close to the match as we can get. You're going to see here shortly a little bit of a struggle I get trying to get it color matched. My advice to you is, if you're doing something like this, don't get discouraged. If it don't come out like you want to do it again, don't be afraid to mix up another batch to get it right. Try again, and it'll eventually come through. my initial thought here was like, man, this is looking really good. This should come out great. The color seemed a little off whenever I looked at it in my mixing cup, but I thought maybe once I actually got it applied on top of white, that the white would lighten it up a little bit more. Trying to get that lighter gray, and again, during this process, I'm like, man, this looks great. But again, you're going to see here in a moment that I decide to kind of go at it again.
No, don't like that.
So as you can see there, it come in a lot darker than I wanted it to. Again, I thought the white would help lighten it up a little bit more. And just as I said previously, that's gonna happen occasionally whenever you're dealing with, trying to color match and such. So I mixed the paint again, and I got it a lot closer, so we're laying that paint to it now. And again, this time it's gonna come in a lot closer, a lot more acceptable in my book. All right, second time was a charm in this case. A lot closer. You can see it being compared to one another. It's not perfect, but it's a lot closer. It looks 10 times better than it did before. So in my opinion, we are good to go. Now that we got the color and the tone of gray that we wanted, we're going to go ahead and hit some clear on that. And we're going to get this thing, we're going to let it cure. I'm going to let it cure for about, I think it was about 24 hours once I got the amount of clear on there I wanted. Then we're going to get ready for assembly. So now it's time for assembly. Again, just doing one other comparison after I had time to cure. Really happy with how it turned out. It's pretty close, really acceptable in my opinion. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing slid into the other area there. As you see, it's kind of a push fit. It's a friction and a push fit. So you're going to see it kind of pop into place here in a moment. Even though the color may not be an exact match, but like I said, I'm still extremely pleased with how close I got it. I don't mind it being that way. I want people to know, and my son to know, and people that may look at this in our collection and go, yes, that's a 3D printed part. I want people to know that this was something, a toy that someone else had, that they enjoyed, and it was missing something. So my son and I decided to repair it and restore it. It kind of leaves a story behind. Well, everyone, that pretty much wraps it up for this episode. Apparently, and from what I can currently see anyway, the decals are complete. I don't believe there was any missing decals on this Pterodactyl Zord. I will know more on that whenever my sheet of replacement decals actually arrive. But as of right now, I'm pretty confident from pictures I've looked at, it's complete. So that's why in this episode, we didn't discuss that any further or have to do much cleanup on it because this one come in a really nice shape. So therefore, we just kind of focused on getting the replacement wing, 3D modeled, 3D printed, and then of course painted. You got to see that entire painting process. So this was a much easier Zord compared to the Tyrannosaurus Rex, I do have to say. But I had a lot of fun doing it. My son's thrilled seeing this thing come together. He's already pushing me to get the other episodes and the other work done. which if you're watching this video now, that means that I'm already working on the other one that's going to be coming out soon. But lastly, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you that is checking out this series and checking out my channel. Please, if you haven't already, consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and even commenting. Give me your thoughts. Are you enjoying this build? What's something you'd maybe like to see on the channel in the future? But I'd greatly appreciate it. We're trying to reach that first milestone goal of 1,000 subscribers, and a simple click from you could help me out tremendously. As always, I greatly appreciate it, and I'll catch all of you on the next episode.